They said it would be easier. They said I wouldn't have to worry about bills anymore, about loneliness, about taking care of myself. So at 72, I moved in with my daughter. I thought I was doing the smart thing. Less isolation, more family, more laughter around the dinner table. But I was wrong. And I don't mean a little wrong. I mean the kind of mistake that slowly chips away at your dignity, your freedom, and your sense of self. Not because they don't love you, but because the dynamic changes in ways no one warns you about. This is my story, and if you're over 60, if you've been thinking about moving in with your children, please watch this till the end, because once you make this choice, it's very hard to take it back. Let's start from the beginning. Part 1. The day I gave up my keys. I remember the day I handed over my house keys. It was sunny, quiet. The neighborhood I'd lived in for 22 years. I told myself, this is the next chapter. But deep down, I felt something sink in my chest. It wasn't just about leaving a house, it was about leaving a life. The routines, the space, the independence. My daughter hugged me and said, "You'll love it here, Mom. No more stress." And for a while, I believed her. But what no one tells you is how quickly you stop being the parent and start feeling like a guest. You go from deciding what's for dinner to asking if it's okay to use the kitchen. From turning on your TV to making sure the volume isn't too loud. And every little thing, from how you fold the towels to when you flush the toilet at night, starts to feel noticed. You shrink, not because they make you feel small, but because you don't want to be a burden. And so little by little you stop asking, you stop expressing, you stop being. Part 2, when the house stopped feeling like home. At first, it was just small things. My coffee mug wasn't where I left it. They rearranged my medications to help me keep track. My favorite chair slowly got nudged further from the living room, replaced with a baby rocker. Then came the whispers, not cruel but careful. "She's tired, let's not invite her this weekend." "Mom needs help, she's just not used to things anymore." I wasn't angry, I was invisible. And let me be clear, my daughter loves me. Her husband, a good man. The kids, sweet, loud, full of life. But in that house, I became a supporting character in someone else's story. No one meant harm, but no one asked either. Not how I was adjusting, not how I felt leaving behind the one place where everything was mine. From the curtains to the quiet. One night I found myself sitting in my room, door closed, lights off, wondering if this was what the rest of my life would feel like. Polite smiles, background noise, and the growing sense that my presence needed permission. They meant well. But I had made a life-changing mistake. I gave up freedom for comfort, and I didn't realize how fast comfort can turn into confinement. Part 3. The slow disappearance of self. There's a kind of loneliness no one talks about. Not the kind where no one's around, the kind where everyone is, but you no longer feel seen. That was me. Before I moved in, I was still me. I chose what to wear, when to clean, what music to play. I had routines, neighbors, a garden I talked to. I had bad days and good days, but they were mine. Now, I'd wake up to the sound of cartoons. Breakfast was already decided. My days became filled with helpful suggestions. "Don't worry about the dishes, Mom. Don't walk alone, it's too hot. Let me just do it for you." And slowly I began to believe I couldn't do anything anymore. Not because I was incapable, but because I was no longer expected to be capable. It starts with gratitude, then turns into guilt, and then it turns into silence. I stopped correcting people when they spoke for me, stopped making plans, stopped asking to go out, because somewhere inside I'd accepted the role I was being handed. A soft-spoken grandmother, a retired woman, a person whose chapter had ended, now just living in someone else's margins. But I hadn't died. I was still me, and losing that hurt more than any illness ever could. Part 4. The quiet moment that changed everything. It wasn't a dramatic event, no shouting, no arguments, just silence. One afternoon, everyone was out, the house was still. And for the first time in weeks, I sat alone. No footsteps, no background TV, no questions like, "Are you okay, Mom?" And that's when it hit me. I missed myself. Not the past, not my old home, myself. I missed being able to choose what time I wanted to eat, to walk without explanation, to sit in my own space, surrounded by things I picked, books I opened, silence I invited. I realized this wasn't about not being loved. It was about no longer being in charge of my own life. And that kind of loss, it doesn't show up on X-rays or blood tests. but it weighs you down in ways no one can see. That afternoon, I did something I hadn't done in months. I opened a notebook. I wrote one sentence. What would it take to feel like me again? And that was the beginning of everything changing. Part 5. Taking back my life, one decision at a time. It didn't happen overnight. There was no dramatic goodbye, no suitcase at the door, just a slow, steady decision, whispered at first, then spoken aloud. I told my daughter I needed my own space again. She looked confused. Hurt? Are we doing something wrong? She asked. And that's the hardest part, because they weren't. They were doing everything right by their definition. But I needed to live by mine. I told her it wasn't about them. It was about me, remembering who I was and who I still am. A woman who's lived, loved, fought, failed, started over. A woman who still has chapters left, not just an epilogue to someone else's story. And surprisingly, she understood. We cried, we laughed, we made a plan. A small apartment nearby, some of my old furniture, a fresh set of keys this time back in my hands. And when I turned that key for the first time, stepped into a quiet room that belonged only to me, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. Not because life got easier, but because I had chosen it again. Final thoughts. You don't stop needing yourself. If you've made it to this point, thank you. Because this isn't just a story about me. It's a story about thousands of older adults quietly shrinking into someone else's life while their own slowly fades away. And if you're over 60, 70, or even 80, let me tell you something no one else will. You don't stop needing yourself. Not because you're stubborn, not because you're difficult, but because independence isn't a luxury. It's dignity. It's waking up and knowing you're still allowed to make choices, that your voice still matters, that your life still belongs to you. Yes, moving in with your kids can make sense for some, but don't do it because you think you're too old to live alone. Don't do it because the world told you that aging means becoming someone's dependent. You have the right to space, to peace, to freedom, whatever that looks like for you. So if you're thinking about it, pause, ask yourself, is this decision about love or is it about fear? Will this bring you closer to yourself or pull you further away? Because the goal isn't just to live longer, it's to keep living as you. If this video resonated with you, comment the word freedom below to let us know you're still here. And if you've walked this path or know someone who has, share this with them. You never know who's sitting in silence, waiting to hear that it's okay to take their life back. Please subscribe if you haven't, and turn on the bell so we can keep sharing stories that matter. Stories that speak the truth no one else is saying. Thank you for listening. And wherever you are in your journey, I hope you never stop choosing you.